The wind howled outside the metal walls of Outpost 47, a small human station sitting alone on the frozen moon of Astris. Inside, Commander Ryan Hale sat beside a flickering heater, holding a cup of cold coffee. His eyes were tired, the kind of tired that came from both war and loneliness. His little daughter, Lily, was asleep in a small bed beside him, clutching a worn-out stuffed rabbit. She was only 6 years old, but she had already lost her mother. Ryan stared at her face and whispered, "You deserve more than this, kiddo." After the war, humans were spread across hundreds of colonies. Many soldiers like Ryan lived alone, raising children without partners. The galaxy was safer now, but also emptier. Ryan had fought for peace. Now he lived in silence. One night he opened his old military terminal and typed a message on a universal help network. It wasn't an order or a job request. It was personal. Looking for someone gentle and kind to help care for a human child. No danger, safe station, warm home. I can offer food, protection, and friendship. I just need someone who can love her like a mother. He didn't think anyone would answer. It was just a desperate message sent out into the stars. After sending it, he sighed and leaned back in his chair, listening to the endless wind outside. Days passed. Ryan spent his time fixing the base, hunting for minerals, and teaching Lily simple lessons. Math, language, old Earth stories. But every night when he tucked her into bed, he saw how she looked toward the sky and whispered, "I miss Mom." It broke his heart every time. One evening, the radar beeped. A signal flashed across the screen. At first, he thought it was a mistake, maybe a passing ship or static interference. But then more signals appeared, not one, not two, three, each one was large, Royal-class cruisers, and all were transmitting the same message. "We have received your call, human. We come for the child." Ryan frowned. What the hell? He checked the message logs. Somehow his small personal transmission had bounced through several relay networks. Civilian, diplomatic, even military. The message had gone across 3 alien empires. He ran outside, the wind cutting across his face. Above the icy horizon, 3 bright streaks of light burned through the clouds. Ships, big ones. Lily ran to the window, eyes wide. "Daddy, are those angels?" Ryan didn't know what to say. "Maybe," he murmured. "Maybe something like that." As the ships landed, the ground trembled. The snowstorm swirled around them, and their glowing lights painted the ice in colors: red, silver, and blue. From the first ship stepped a tall, armored woman with crimson skin and eyes that glowed like molten iron. She moved with the strength of a warrior queen. Her voice was deep and commanding. "I am Vera of the Tracian Empire. Your message was received by my council. We believe your daughter deserves royal protection." Before Ryan could reply, a second ship opened. A soft light spilled out and a figure floated down, not walking but gliding gently. Her hair shimmered like water, her eyes glowing soft violet. "I am Lyra of the Empath Guild," she said, her voice calm and kind. I felt the child's sadness from light years away. "I have come to heal her heart." Ryan stared speechless, and then from the third ship came another woman, dressed in silver armor with a cape made of starlight. Her expression was proud but gentle. "I am Karen of the Celestial Order. My people believe this child carries destiny. I will help raise her and protect you both." The cold wind blew between them. 3 alien women stood before him, each beautiful, powerful, and strange. Lily peeked from behind Ryan's leg and whispered, "Daddy, they're all so pretty." Ryan blinked, still in disbelief. "Yes, sweetheart." "They really are," he turned to the women. "There must be some mistake. I just needed one caretaker." But before he could finish, Vera stepped forward, smiling faintly. "Then you will have to choose, human." Ryan's heart pounded as the 3 ships powered down behind them, their engines glowing like suns. The storm outside grew louder. The stars above seemed to watch, and Commander Ryan Hale realized something terrifying and strange. He had only asked for one mother for his child. But 3 queens had come to answer the call. The frozen winds of Asteris howled through the landing bay. But inside the small outpost, the air was thick with tension. Commander Ryan Hale stood frozen in front of 3 alien queens, each powerful, each beautiful in a completely different way, and all of them claiming the same thing. They had come to be mothers to his child. Lily clung to his leg, staring up at the tall strangers with wide, curious eyes. Her father's voice was calm but strained. Listen, there's been some kind of mix-up. I only sent one message. Vera, the red-skinned warrior queen from the Tracian Empire, crossed her arms. Her armor gleamed under the lights, her presence fierce. Your message reached 3 empires, human. You asked for someone to care for your young. In my world, such a request carries sacred honor. I came because only the strongest should protect a child. Lyra, the glowing empath with violet eyes, smiled softly. You speak of strength, Vera. But the girl doesn't need battle. She needs warmth. I can feel her pain like it's my own. Her voice echoed gently, almost like a song. Ren, wrapped in a silver cloak that shimmered like stars, stood quietly for a moment. Both of you speak truth, she said finally. But destiny led us here. The human child carries something none of us fully understand. The stars themselves called us, Ryan rubbed his temples. Great. The universe sends me 3 babysitters and all of them talk like philosophers. Lily giggled at that, her laughter cutting the heavy silence. The queens looked down at her, their gazes softening. Vera knelt first, her armor clinking softly. Little one, do you fear me? Lily shook her head. You look like a superhero. The queen smiled, and a rare, genuine smile. Then I shall protect you, small one. Lyra floated closer, the air shimmering around her. Do you dream, Lily? She asked gently. Sometimes, Lily said, but I see scary things. Lyra's fingers glowed faintly as she touched Lily's forehead. Then I'll help you see good dreams. Karen stepped forward last, her voice calm but commanding. And I will make sure those dreams come true. Ryan didn't know whether to laugh or panic. His quiet base was suddenly full of alien royalty, each with her own guards, her own customs, her own ego. The next hours were chaos. Vera ordered her warriors to secure the perimeter. Lyra transformed one room into a soft, glowing garden of peace and light. Karen reprogrammed the outpost's shields using her advanced celestial tech. Ryan watched helplessly as his simple home turned into something between a fortress and a temple. This is not happening, he muttered. At dinner, the queens gathered around a table that had never held so much awkward silence. Lily was excited. She talked non-stop, asking about their ships, their planets, their favorite foods. The queens answered kindly, though their eyes sometimes drifted toward each other with quiet rivalry. Ryan tried to keep peace. So 3 empires, huh? Guess I'm lucky you didn't bring armies. Vera looked straight at him. We would if you asked. Lyra smiled knowingly. He doesn't need armies. He needs comfort, Karen added softly, and faith. The air crackled between them. Ryan sighed. Okay. Let's all just not start a war over bedtime stories. But as the night deepened, an uneasy feeling grew in his chest. These women were too different, too proud, too powerful. Their presence was like holding 3 suns in his hands. Sooner or later, something would burn. When Lily finally fell asleep, Ryan stood outside under the pale light of the moons. Behind him, he heard soft footsteps. All 3 of them had come out together, silently watching the horizon. Lyra spoke first. You still don't believe we were meant to come? Ryan turned slowly. I believe I sent one message for help, not an intergalactic marriage proposal. Vera smirked. Perhaps the stars disagree. The wind picked up, carrying snow across the plain. Karen looked up at the sky, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. You may not know it yet, human, she said quietly. But your child's destiny is already bound with ours. Ryan stared at her, unsure if it was a warning or a promise. In the distance, thunder rolled, though there were no clouds above. The outpost's lights flickered for a moment. Inside, Lily stirred in her sleep, whispering something none of them understood. They're coming. Lyra's eyes widened as if she felt something dark move across the stars. Vera's hand went to her sword. Who? Lyra's voice trembled. The ones who heard the same call we did, but not for love, for power. The storm outside began to scream, and Ryan realized that this was only the beginning. The storm came without warning. One moment, the skies above Outpost 47 were quiet and pale. The next, the world turned white, a roaring blizzard slamming into the base with the force of 1,000 ghosts. Commander Ryan Hale rushed to seal the outer gates while alarms flashed red. Shields up, he shouted, though his words were nearly drowned out by the sound of wind tearing against steel. Inside, Vera, Lyra, and Karen worked fast, their instincts sharper than any storm. Vera barked commands to her soldiers, reinforcing doors with magnetic locks. Karen's hands moved over the control panel, rerouting the generator's power to life support. Lyra stood with Lily, her eyes glowing faint purple as she projected calm into the frightened child's heart. "Don't be scared," Lyra whispered softly. "The storm only shouts when it's lonely." Lily looked up at her and smiled weakly. "Like Daddy?" Lyra smiled sadly. "Yes, a little like him." When the blast shields finally closed, Ryan dropped into a chair, exhausted. The base's lights flickered, casting shadows that danced across the room. He looked around. 3 alien queens in his living room, his daughter asleep beside a glowing empath, and a deadly storm raging outside. He had no idea what kind of story he was living in anymore. For 3 days, the storm didn't stop. They were trapped together inside the small outpost. The food supplies were low, the comms were dead, and the temperature kept dropping. But something strange happened. Amid the silence, they started learning each other. Vera spent her time teaching Lily how to carve little animals from scrap metal. The child loved it. She even made one that looked like her father. Vera laughed hard for the first time in years. Karen helped Ryan fix broken heating vents. Her calm voice filled the empty halls. "Your machines are simple," she said kindly, "but strong, like their maker." Ryan chuckled. "You flatter easy, huh?" She tilted her head. "Humans confuse honesty with flattery. I merely state what is true." And Lyra, she would sit by the window humming songs from her world. Soft lights would shimmer around her as Lily drifted to sleep in her lap. For a while, it almost felt like peace. Then, on the 4th night, Lily woke up screaming. Ryan ran into her room. The child was trembling, her eyes wide open, staring into the darkness. "Daddy, they're here! The ones from my dream." Vera was there instantly, sword drawn. What did she see? Lyra touched Lily's head, closing her eyes. "There are voices," whispering to her. "Something ancient, older than any of us." Karen checked the scanners. No ships detected. But then the lights flickered again, longer this time. The air grew cold. A low hum vibrated through the floor, like something massive moving beneath the ice. Ryan looked at the screen. A new blip appeared on the radar. Stationary. Close. "Something's under us," he said. "Something big." The storm outside howled louder, as if it wanted to drown them out. Vera's eyes narrowed. "A creature?" Karen shook her head. "Not life. A signal." They followed the readings to the underground storage tunnels. Frost clung to the walls. The deeper they went, the more Lily began to whisper in her sleep, carried in Lyra's arms. Finally, they reached an old, sealed door, one that hadn't been opened in decades. Strange carvings glowed faintly on the metal. Lyra gasped. "These are not human symbols." Karen's eyes widened in shock. "No, they are celestial runes. This base was built on top of something ancient." Ryan frowned. "Meaning?" Lyra's voice was quiet, almost trembling. "It means this place was calling her long before you did." Before Ryan could ask more, the carvings pulsed, once, twice, and then the door opened on its own. A warm light spilled out, bathing Lily's sleeping face in gold. The whispering grew louder. Ryan stepped forward, his heart pounding. Inside, he saw a massive crystal chamber, glowing symbols floating in the air. And right at the center, a small pedestal, shaped like a cradle. Lily opened her eyes and whispered, "They said they've been waiting for me." The queen stared in silence. The air trembled with power. Vera gripped her sword. "Waiting? For what?" Lily pointed at the glowing cradle. "For me to wake them up." The crystal lights flared, flooding the room with blinding brilliance. Ryan tried to reach his daughter, but the door slammed shut between them. Inside, Lily stood alone, surrounded by the golden light. Her small voice echoed softly, "Don't be afraid, Daddy. I remember now." Then the light swallowed everything. The explosion of light vanished as suddenly as it came. When Ryan opened his eyes, the chamber was empty. The pedestal glowed faintly, but Lily was gone. "Lily!" His shout echoed through the tunnels. He slammed his fists against the sealed door, but it didn't move. The scanner on his wrist blinked red. No life signal, no trace. Vera forced the door open with her strength, slicing through the metal with her plasma blade. The light inside faded away, leaving only dust and silence. Lyra knelt, her hands trembling. I can't feel her mind. It's like she was lifted beyond the veil. Karen touched the glowing floor patterns, her face grave. She wasn't taken. She was summoned. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. Summoned by what? Karen looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the faint glow. The ancient guardians of this world. They must have sensed her energy, half human, half something greater. Ryan turned away, gripping his head. You're telling me my little girl was called into some alien shrine because she's special? She's just a child. Vera put a hand on his shoulder, her voice firm. Then we bring her back, no matter what this planet hides. Outside, the storm had ended, but the world looked different. The ice plains shimmered with strange light, ancient symbols glowing under the frost, leading away from the outpost like a trail. Karen studied the marks. This is a map. The energy signature moves northeast, across the ice cliffs. Ryan loaded his rifle, his face cold and determined. Then that's where we go. They set out at dawn. The horizon burned with faint auroras. Vera led the group, her armor humming softly in the cold air. Lyra floated just above the snow, scanning for Lily's emotional trace. Karen monitored the energy trail through her device. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the crunch of boots on ice. Ryan's thoughts were heavy, and every step filled with guilt and fear. Lyra finally spoke. She's reaching out. I can feel flickers of her emotions, fear, confusion. But also peace. Ryan looked at her sharply. Peace? Lyra nodded.
It's as if someone is protecting her. Before they could process that, Vera stopped suddenly, raising a hand.
Movement. Figures appeared in the distance, shadows against the white glare. As they drew closer, Ryan saw they weren't human or alien soldiers. They were machines, tall skeletal guardians made of ice and metal, their eyes glowing blue. Karen whispered, Ancient sentinels, protectors of the temple network. Vera didn't wait for orders. Then they'll fall like any enemy, she charged, her plasma blade slicing through the first sentinel. But more emerged from the snow, dozens of them moving in perfect silence. Ryan fired his rifle, energy bolts cutting through the cold air. Karen raised a shimmering shield, deflecting the blasts aimed at them. Lyra extended her hand, sending waves of psychic force that made the machines hesitate, their lights flickering. The battle was quick but brutal. When it ended, the ice around them was littered with smoking shards of metal. Ryan stood panting, scanning the horizon. Please, Lily. Where are you? Lyra pointed ahead. There. The emotional pulse is stronger. They climbed through a canyon of glass-like ice until they reached a cliff overlooking an ancient city buried below. Giant crystal spires rose from the snow, pulsing with light. In the center stood a grand temple, its doors wide open. At the top of the stairs, a small figure stood, Lily. Ryan whispered. She was there, glowing faintly, her eyes brighter than before. She looked unharmed, calm even. When she saw them, she smiled. Daddy, they told me everything, she said softly. Ryan ran toward her, but Karen stopped him. Wait. From behind Lily, 3 ghostly shapes appeared, tall, majestic beings made of light and mist. Their voices blended into one deep tone that vibrated in the air. The child of 2 worlds has come. Her heart will decide the fate of all. Vera drew her sword. Get away from her! But Lily turned, holding out her hand. The guardians stopped instantly. They're not enemies, she said. They're memories. They waited for me. Ryan's voice broke. Waited for what? She looked at him sadly. To wake the ancient network and stop the coming war. Karen's face turned pale. What war? Before anyone could answer, the sky thundered. Ships, hundreds of them, appeared above the frozen clouds. Vera's communicator crackled to life. Incoming fleets, 3 empires. They've all found us. The ground began to shake. Lily turned to her father, her eyes glowing pure gold. Daddy, she whispered, they're coming for me. Ryan grabbed her and pulled her close. Then they'll have to go through me first. The frozen moon of Astris had never seen so much light. The entire horizon glowed gold and blue as fleets from 3 alien empires descended from orbit, each one claiming they came to protect the child. But Commander Ryan Hale knew better. They hadn't come for protection. They had come for Lily. The little girl stood at the edge of the ancient temple, her golden eyes reflecting the burning sky. Her voice was calm, almost distant. They said I'm the key, Daddy. The one who can stop the war before it starts. Ryan knelt beside her. You're not a weapon. You're my daughter. Lyra floated close, her eyes full of fear. She's awakening faster than I thought. The temple's energy is feeding her, connecting her to something beyond us. Karen's gaze was fixed on the sky. The three empires. They've united for the first time in history. But not in peace, yet in fear. Vera clenched her fists. Then we fight. They won't take her. The ground rumbled as the first shockwaves hit. The alien armadas began descending, hundreds of dropships slicing through the clouds. Explosions lit up the frozen plains. Ryan's outpost was already gone, buried under fire and ice. Inside, he shouted, pulling Lily and the queens into the temple. The doors sealed with a deep hum, glowing symbols spreading across the walls. Karen touched the carvings. These are ancient defense wards. They'll hold for a while. Ryan grabbed his rifle, looking at the queens. You three came from different worlds. You hated each other's kind, but right now we either stand together or we die apart. Vera smirked. Finally, something we agree on. Lyra's voice was quiet but firm. Then let me help her. She placed both hands on Lily's shoulders. I can guide her power if she lets me in. Lily hesitated. It feels big inside me, like I can hear everyone screaming. Lyra nodded gently. That's the galaxy, little one. They're afraid. Ryan knelt beside her. You're not alone, sweetheart. You never will be. Outside, the war began. The temple shook under the bombardment. Vera led the defense, her blade cutting through the metal soldiers that broke through the walls. Karen summoned energy barriers of light, shielding the group from explosions. Lyra stood with Lily in the center, her body glowing brighter as their minds connected. Ryan fought beside them, his human rifle looking small compared to the power they unleashed, but his courage stood equal to any queen. Keep them off her, Vera shouted. She's channeling something massive. Ryan looked up. The temple's ceiling began to open like a blooming flower. Light spilled from above, a beam connecting Lily to the sky. Karen gasped. The celestial network. It's activating. The ancient system that links every empire's mind relay. She's binding them. Lyra's voice echoed, no longer her own. She's connecting thoughts, removing fear, making them see each other. Outside, the fleet stopped firing. The ships hovered silently in the air, engines glowing dim. The soldiers froze mid-battle, eyes turning upward as if hearing something beautiful for the first time. Ryan could feel it, a calm wave spreading through the storm of war. For a moment, every living being across the battlefield shared one feeling, peace, but it didn't last. The overload of power made the ground quake. Cracks spread through the ice as light poured from Lily's body. Her body can't hold it, Lyra cried. She's just a child. Ryan grabbed her hand, shouting above the roar. Then take mine. Take whatever you need. He felt the surge, warmth and pain all at once as his own energy fed into the beam. Karen and Vera joined too, forming a circle around Lily. Together they stabilized her. The light flared once more and then vanished. Silence fell. When the brightness faded, the fleets were gone. The sky was clear. Snow drifted quietly again. Lily lay unconscious in Ryan's arms, peaceful and smiling. The three alien queens knelt beside them, exhausted but alive. Karen looked up at the stars. It is done. The empires felt her light. They will not fight again, not for many generations. Vera sighed and wiped her blade. She ended a war without firing a shot. That's power no army can match. Lyra placed a hand on Lily's head, whispering softly. And it came from love. Ryan held his daughter close. She saved them all, but she almost burned herself to do it. Karen nodded. The energy will fade from her in time, but its echo will remain, in every mind she touched. The temple lights dimmed, their task complete. The war that could have destroyed galaxies had ended with one human child, and three alien mothers standing guard beside her. Ryan looked at them, the warrior, the empath, the noble exile, and felt something new bloom in his heart. He had asked the stars for one mother for his child. The stars had given him three. The calm after the awakening did not last long. Within days, the message of the human child of light spread across the galaxy. Every empire, every council, every warlord wanted to claim her. They said she was a symbol of peace. Others whispered she was a weapon disguised as a child. Commander Ryan Hale knew one thing. No matter what they called her, Lily was his daughter, and he would not let anyone take her. The outpost on Asteris had been rebuilt into a safe haven. Vera's soldiers patrolled the perimeter. Chiron's shields covered the base like a dome of silver light. Lyra maintained psychic barriers that could sense any approaching mind. Lily was resting, weak but healing. The golden glow in her eyes had dimmed, though a faint spark remained whenever she laughed or dreamed. Ryan stayed beside her most of the time, fixing her blanket, telling her old Earth stories. But at night, when the base was quiet, he looked up at the sky and saw the fleets gathering again, this time not for peace, but to decide who owned her. One evening, Karen approached him. "The councils demand a summit," she said quietly. "They will come here in person." Ryan turned sharply. "They want to negotiate for my daughter like she's a prize." Karen met his eyes. "They fear her. Fear breeds control." Vera slammed her fist on the table. "Then let them come. I'll remind them what humans can do when someone threatens their own." Lyra frowned, her voice soft but full of warning. "Violence will only feed the fear again." Ryan looked between them. "Then we stand together, not as empires, not as soldiers, as her family." The summit began 2 days later. 3 royal ships landed on the ice plains, each carrying a high leader, the Tracian warlord, the Empath Guild speaker, and the Celestial Regent. They entered the base with their guards, their presence filling the air with pride and suspicion. The Tracian warlord glared at Ryan. "A human soldier is not fit to raise what belongs to the stars." Ryan stood tall. "She doesn't belong to anyone. She chose peace when the rest of you chose war." Lyra's voice echoed softly through the room. "She heard your pain, your hate, and she healed it. If you take her now, you'll destroy what she gave you." Karen stepped forward, her silver cloak glowing faintly. "The child's power cannot be controlled by force. She responds to love, not orders. That is her strength," the leaders argued, voices rising. The room filled with anger, and until a small voice interrupted. "Please stop fighting." Everyone turned. Lily stood in the doorway holding her stuffed rabbit. Her golden eyes shimmered faintly. The leaders froze. "I can hear you," she said softly. "All of you. You're scared. But you don't have to be. I'm not special because of power. I'm special because my daddy and my moms love me." Ryan's throat tightened. He didn't move. Lily took a step forward, looking at each leader. "If you fight again, you'll break everything I fixed, please. Just try to be kind." Her small hand glowed, and a wave of warmth spread through the room. Not energy, not magic, but something deeper. For a few seconds, every heart in the room remembered love. Real, simple, human love. The leaders lowered their heads. None spoke for a long time. Finally, the Celestial Regent said quietly, "Perhaps peace is not born in councils, but in families." The summit ended without bloodshed. No one dared touch the child again. That night, Ryan stood outside, watching the stars. Vera joined him, her red eyes softer than usual. "You fought empires today without lifting a gun," she said. Ryan smiled faintly. "Guess my daughter's rubbing off on me." Lyra floated nearby, her voice full of pride. "Her gift is not in strength. It's in connection. That's why the universe needed her." Karen looked at them both. "And why we needed you, human." Inside the base, Lily slept peacefully, her rabbit tucked under her arm. For the first time in ages, the galaxy was quiet. Ryan whispered, "Sleep easy, little one. No one will take you again." Above the icy moon, the stars shone brighter, not as empires, but as witnesses to a new kind of family born from war, courage, and love. He had gone to the stars searching for a mother for his child, and instead found 3 who helped save the universe. The warships were gone. The skies above Asteris were calm once more. Only the soft hum of the shields and the slow fall of snow reminded anyone that this world had once been a battlefield. Commander Ryan Hale stood on the balcony of the rebuilt outpost, looking at the sunrise over the frozen plains. It wasn't like an Earth sunrise. This one was blue and gold, soft like the reflection of water on glass. He had seen hundreds of sunrises in his life, but this one felt different. This one felt like peace. Inside, laughter echoed. Warm, real, alive. Lily was sitting by the heater, drawing pictures on a glowing tablet. Around her sat the three alien queens who had once come to claim her, Vera, Lyra, and Karen. Now they sat close together, not as rivals, but as something that looked almost like family. Vera was teaching Lily how to carve tiny animal shapes from scrap metal again, this time gentler, smiling when Lily managed to form something that looked like a small dragon. Lyra watched, humming softly, her presence filling the room with a calm light. Karen repaired one of Lily's toys, her precise hands working with quiet patience. Ryan stood in the doorway, just watching. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like a soldier or a survivor. He felt like a father. Lily looked up and waved. "Daddy, come see my dragon." He smiled. "That's amazing, kiddo. Looks just like the real thing." Vera chuckled. "She's a natural Trazian sculptor." Lyra smiled softly. "No, she's a dreamer. That's her real art." Karen looked up, her tone calm and steady. "Or perhaps she's both. Strength and heart. A balance we all forgot to keep." Ryan joined them, kneeling beside his daughter. "You all helped her find that balance," Vera smirked. "We helped each other." For a long while, they simply sat together. The galaxy outside was still uncertain, fragile peace between empires, old wounds slowly healing. But here, in this little base on a frozen moon, life was simple and beautiful. Weeks passed. Visitors began arriving. Not armies this time, but pilgrims, scientists, and children from different species. They came not to worship, but to learn. Astris had become a neutral world, a living symbol of unity. They called it the Haven of Light. Vera's warriors trained soldiers from every empire, teaching them honor instead of conquest. Lyra built a school for orphans from the war, using her empathic gifts to heal their trauma. Karen designed energy systems that could power entire colonies without destruction. And Ryan, he became the quiet heart of it all. The man who had asked for a mother for his child, and had instead helped give birth to a new age. At night, when the world was silent, the four of them would gather around a fire. Vera would share stories of battles long past. Lyra would tell poems of hope and connection. Karen would talk about destiny and the stars yet unseen. And Ryan would just listen, smiling, holding Lily in his arms as she fell asleep against his chest. Sometimes he wondered if it had all been fate, or if it was just the universe's strange way of giving him what he needed. Not just love, but family. One evening, as the auroras danced above them, Lyra turned to him. "Do you ever regret sending that message?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Every day before it happened." "Not once since," Vera laughed softly. "You realize you accidentally proposed to three queens?" Ryan grinned. "Yeah, guess the universe took me seriously." Karen looked at the others and said quietly, "Perhaps it knew that peace needed all of us. The warrior, the empath, the believer, and the human who refused to give up." Ryan looked out at the horizon where the blue sun was setting. Maybe peace isn't something we build with power. Maybe it's something we raise like a child. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we will raise it together." Lily stirred in her sleep and whispered softly, "Love you, Mommy Vera. Mommy Lyra. Mommy Karen. Daddy." The four adults smiled, their hearts full. Above them, the stars shimmered brighter, not cold and distant anymore, but warm, alive, connected by the light of a little girl who had once been lost in the storm. And in that quiet moment, Ryan knew that humanity's legacy was not in war or conquest. It was in love, unity, and family that crossed galaxies. He had asked the stars for one mother for his child, but the stars in their infinite kindness gave him three wives, one miracle, and a new dawn for the universe.